Gameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bring you our NCAA FBS Game of the Week preview between the Arizona State Sun Devils and the UCLA Bruins. Now let's take a look at some keys to victory for both teams, starting with the Sun Devils. When you look at Arizona State in this matchup, they're going to have to make this a horizontal game. That's spreading the field with Marion Grice and DJ Foster and forcing UCLA to make plays one-on-one in space. And the offensive line has to win on the inside. That's going to be crucial. So guard to guard will be important. They can't allow interior pressure, otherwise it'll derail this offense. Now defensively, winning on first down is key, and that starts with staying gap discipline versus Brett Huntley, who does a lot of damage extending the play in the passing game and also making plays with his legs on the ground. And I would also send delayed pressure at Huntley just to get him on the ground and disrupt the timing of that offense. And I look at Anthony Jones and Chris Young. They have to excel in the flats because that's where 90% of the passes for UCLA will go. So if they can excel in the flats, they'll do a great job versus this Bruins offense. Now let's move over to UCLA in this ballgame, and the biggest key for the Bruins would be to get that ground game going outside of Brett Huntley, who does a lot of damage on the ground, but you have to get those running backs involved so that way you can have some success off the play action pass. And I would also take advantage of the Sun Devils' aggressiveness with screens, double moves, the rub routes from the bunch formation to get that passing game going, and also to generate a big play through the air. And defensively, I look at the linebackers in the underneath coverage. They're going to have to do a great job in the short to intermediate passing game in order for this defense to have success. And I would also bracket Jalen Strong, their #1 option at receiver, and you want to force Taylor Kelly to go to those other targets in the passing game. And you also want to force him to throw it to trap defenses, so I would zone blitz him a lot in this matchup to have some success on the defensive side of football. The X factor in this game for the Sun Devils will be their offensive line. Can they pick up the stunts and the blitzes that the Bruins will bring to the table? They do a great job of applying pressure with their front three and also sending exotic blitzes with their linebackers, so that offensive line of Arizona State will have to bring their A game in order for them to have success. The X factor in this game for the Bruins will be their passing game. If they're going to knock off Arizona State, it's going to have to come with these guys out there on the flank. So Shaq Evans has to get involved early. Brett Huntley has to be accurate and decisive with his throws. If they can excel in the passing game, the Bruins will be tough to beat this weekend. Now here are some coaching points for both teams in this ball game. For Arizona State, Taylor Kelly has to protect the football. He can't throw those costly turnovers that kills drives versus the Bruins, who have a very aggressive defense. And I would also attack the perimeter in the passing game or in the running game. I think that's where they can have some success. They have the athletes to get it done. I mentioned that earlier with Foster and also Grice. And the linebackers versus Brett Huntley is something I talked about earlier as well. If they can excel in keeping him in the pocket, they can win this ball game. And for UCLA in this ball game, quarterback Brett Huntley has to see the field better. If they're able to extend this game vertically, I think this will be a tough matchup for Arizona State to win. But it all starts with that offensive line and pass protection, giving him time in the pocket, and also Huntley being able to see the field a lot better. #1 and #2 go hand in hand, and they have to win in space defensively. I talked about that earlier as well. If they're able to make the one-on-one plays in space, UCLA can definitely win this ball game at home. Now here are some 2014 draft prospects you want to keep an eye on in this ballgame for Arizona State. A lot of defensive talent led by Will Sutton, Carl Bradford on that defensive line, Robert Nelson in the back end catching everything thrown his way, showing great range from sideline to sideline, and Alden Darby, another outstanding strong safety that does a great job on both ends of defense, and Marion Grice, one of the top running backs in the country. This is a guy that reminds me a lot of Ricky Waters and what he brings to the table both as a receiver and a runner out of the backfield. And for the Bruins, they're led by their all-star linebacker, Anthony Barr, who's arguably the best linebacker in the country. A guy that does a great job on both ends of defense. You look at Cassius Marsh, another tremendous athlete they have along that defensive line. Xavier Suafilo is one of the best interior offensive linemen in the country. He's only a junior, but he still makes our list. And Shaq Evans is a dependable target, game-breaking type of a player, just needs the opportunities to come his way, and he can definitely make the plays. Eric Allen was one of the best cornerbacks in Sun Devil history, played there from 1983 to 1987, 15 career interceptions, and was an all Pac-10 performer throughout the course of his career. Kenny Washington was an outstanding player and a trailblazer for UCLA, played there from 1936 to 1939, a big running back for the time, 6'3", 237 pounds, and it showed on the football field as he led the nation in total offense and was a consensus All-American. He's actually the first consensus All-American in school history. He finished his career with over 1,900 yards rushing, and that was a record that stood for 34 years. I like Arizona State in this ballgame. I think offensively they have the weapons to make this a track meet. They're going to put a lot of pressure on that Bruins defense, and defensively they have the talent in that front seven to cause problems for Brett Huntley, that running game and the passing game. So I like Arizona State to win this matchup versus UCLA and take control of the Pac-12 South.